Welcome back to Stop the Takes. Austin and Dakota here live on for our 2025 NFL season preview. We've hyped it up a bit. We just hyped it up in the quick video or live stream we did for the Micah Parsons trade, and it is here. Our video, we will be going over division standings, predicting the order that teams will finish in each division, playoff seeding, Super Bowl 60 predictions, and then all awards from Rookie of the Years all the way up to MVP. How are we feeling, man?
Feeling good, dude. Excited to do this show. The NFL season is back, and we're going to be predicting everything, dude. Playoffs, Super Bowl winners, awards. Should be a fun show. Got pushed back due to that insane Micah Parsons trade, and that trade may have had some ripple effects with some of our picks and winners and playoff seeding and whatnot. So excited to get into all of it, man.
That it did. A mini detour before we started, which kind of plays into the season a little bit, previewing, which is the announcement of the NFL rivalries uniforms. So I know I love uniforms. I know a lot of people don't care about that as much, and a lot of people don't want to see them ever change. But these were hyped up, kind of back to the old Color Rush days, back in like the early 2010s, mid 2010s when they announced the Color Rush uniform. So they hyped these up a few months ago. But finally announced them, which will be worn strictly for some division games, starting with the NFC West and the AFC East. So all 8 of those uniforms got kind of announced today. And personally, I thought more good than bad. I think the feedback has been absolutely all over the place on these, but I'm a fan of trying something new, and I think a lot of these are pretty unique. And I think pretty much all of them will probably look better in game action than in the hazy garbage lighting videos that teams do for uniform reveals these days. Dude.
That genuinely might be my only take on this is that I can't stand uniform reveals right now, dude. Just show me the uniform. Like that's all I want to see. Just show me what the jersey looks like instead of, like you said, these hazy, horrible reveals. I'll also say the Bills uniform is my favorite. That's easily my favorite. That thing is absolutely sick. I'm thinking about dropping $200 on that Josh Allen uni, man. That thing was nice.
I honestly was debating the same thing. I literally was trying to find them, but they don't go September 9th or something like that, September 10th maybe. But yeah, I think it's a cool, I mean, it's gimmicky. Some people don't like things like this, but at the end of the day, it's not going to change your franchise if they wear a uniform that you don't like a couple times. I think it's cool to try it out. And the Bills, you're trying out something unique with the like shattered kind of ice look, which I think is pretty cool. The Dolphins was pretty cool in my opinion. Some of them were kind of misses. The 49ers have probably been the most slept on. That all black with like the saloon style number font's pretty cool. But Nate saying, I've seen so much love on the cards. It's like they got dirty before the game even starts. I think that was what they were going for. And I like them, but I do think I'm not a big fan. And I think that's one of the biggest complaints with like them and the Seahawks is that they're just kind of copying some of the stuff Oregon did, which is fine, but in different ways. But yeah, figured we would touch on that before we jump into the preview because it is topic stuff today. Today's been a busy day for the NFL, man.
Busy news day, dude. Busy news day.
So without further ado, let's get into the 2025 season preview, starting with predicting the divisions. All right. And let's start in the North, in the AFC North. What is your predicted standings for the AFC North this season?
I'll preface this, Dakota, with I've got chalky picks. Okay, I do.
I think got a little bit too.
I think a lot of this is pretty obvious. I'll say, obviously barring injuries, which will be the last time I bring up injuries, but a lot of these division picks are obvious to me. Now I will say the AFC North is tough. You can definitely debate 2 teams in this division, Bengals or Ravens. I went with Ravens, man. I went with the Baltimore Ravens to win this division. I think this defense is going to be one of the best in the NFL. You add Mike Green to this defense that's already loaded everywhere else. Mike Green looked extremely good in the preseason. And offensively, they have the 2-time MVP, Lamar Jackson. Enough said there. And Derrick Henry, the future first ballot Hall of Famer. So, yeah, I mean, the Ravens are going to be really good, and I think to win this division.
I agree, and apologies to our friend Nate V in chat, but I agree. The Ravens got better, and they're still just the top dog in my opinion in the AFC North. I then did have the Bengals in second, followed by the Steelers in third, and then the Browns wrapping up the bottom there by a large margin.
I have literally the exact same order. Again, it's a lot of this is chalky. Like I honestly don't see a scenario where this order changes unless the Bengals find a way to win the division. But the Browns will likely be last, and the Steelers will likely be third at 8-9 or 9-8. So yeah, it's again a lot of chalk, but still one of the best divisions of football. I'll say. I mean, the Browns are in a rebuild, but the Steelers are always going to be a tough out, and then you got the Bengals and Ravens, who I think are two contenders.
Yeah, there will be some chalk. I know there's parts where we're going to have differences for sure, but and Nate's saying they can't cover Chase. That is true. Death taxes and then cooking the Ravens. The Bengals and guy and D step up. It's very possible. It is, and at the end of the day, that's the reason for me. Is it just I got to see it from the defense, and if they have a start like they did last year, then they could end up in third again. It's not as likely this year with the Steelers, but that's always a possibility if the defense doesn't show up. But with how Joe Burrow played last year, there's no excuse to not finish second at the least and make the playoffs. So
very true.
Let's move on now to the AFC East. This is probably chalky where I could see the bottom looking a little different, but what do you have for the AFC East?
So obvious Bills are winning this division. That's the most obvious bet in the NFL right now. They're definitely winning the division. We might differ on this. I doubt it, though. I've got the Patriots number 2. I think they're going to want to be one of the stories of the NFL. But one of the big factors, in fairness, that plays into that, they have the third easiest schedule in the entire NFL, Dakota. So very easy schedule for them. That definitely plays a huge factor in this prediction. And then I've got the Dolphins in third. I honestly debated them at fourth, but I went ahead and give them third. And then I've got the Jets at fourth.
Mine's the exact same, but I expected you to throw Tua and the Dolphins at fourth. That's what I was expecting to be different there. But yeah, I agree. And I think it's Bills, Gap, and then the Patriots, and then Dolphins and Jets. And yeah, unfortunately, I just don't see the Dolphins. The offensive line is not good, and the defense is not good. I'm just worried for the Dolphins' sake. And then I just believe in the Patriots and Drake May taking a step forward, but
I do too.
But it'd be kind of easy to finish second in the division, to be honest.
I could see that, especially with their schedule, their last place schedule. Also, I'll add to the Dolphins that vibes are at an all-time low, dude. I mean, Mike McDaniel in press conferences, he seems depressed. Tyreek Hill is probably going to be demanding a trade by week 5. It's not the best situation in Miami at the moment.
It's not, and it's unfortunate, and then the Jets are a little bit of a wild card. I could definitely see them finishing third in this division with Justin Fields, and they still have a decent defense. They're lacking some play.
I think there's a world. Oh, did we lose you, Dakota?
Outside of Garrett Wilson on offense, but no.
Yeah, you're back. So yeah, I mean, honestly, I could see the Jets finishing second. I think there's a world where that happens. Just like if Justin Fields develops, like I think that's still possible. It's unlikely, but it's possible. And it's not a very good division, so that plays a factor.
It's not. But it's definitely possible. So another bit chalky one. This one will probably be pretty chalky as well. But let's move on down south to the division for both our teams. AFC South. What do you got there?
Man, I was debating being different and like maybe throwing the Jags as the winner because like I think they have a high ceiling, but I don't see that happening. I'm gonna go the Texans. Listen, like I'm gonna have to see Stroud lose this division before I pick someone else to win it. And then I've got the Jags at number 2. And I could really see this division like kind of flip-flopping too. You just never know how the season's going to go. But Colts at 3rd and then Titans at 4th. Cam Ward is such an X factor. Like he is such an X factor here that they could obviously bump up these rankings pretty heavily. And I would also say Trevor Lawrence is an X factor in this division as well. So, yeah, so that's my South rankings.
it's the first time we differ. So I did Texans winning it, but I have the Colts at 2 still because I just think, like, especially people who didn't watch the Colts last year, like, people are acting like Daniel Jones starting means they're going to go like 3-14. It's like, did you not watch them win games with Gardner Minshew last year? Like, their baseline is pretty high, but basically what I'm banking on is there's some growing pains still with Liam Cohen as a first-year head coach. I've kind of not believed in most of the first-year head coaches, and that's a bit unfair. But I am a let me see it first guy. So did have the Colts at 2, Jags 3. Oh, I got an update on my computer. Just took everything out. And then the Titans at 4th, because I mean the Cam Ward wild card, but the roster's just not good, man. It's just not. So
it's not.
But who knows? It could be the Jaden Daniels, CJ Stroud thing, where we're looking at this roster saying it sucks, and then they make the playoffs. Who knows? But yeah, the Colts Jags at 2-3 is probably the most where you can kind of flip things around a little bit there.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's move out west. Wrap up the AFC. The AFC West, which is another tough division, a very interesting one. A lot of coach, I mean, by far the most interesting division in the entire NFL when it comes to coaches.
Yeah, no question. No, I mean some legends, right?
Actually, real quick on chat. Catch up with Nate here. Absolutely, with Nate talking about Trevor, dark horse for candidate for MVP. New offense could be saying that's true. He did make Baker look that good. I mean, Baker also looked good with Dave Canales before that as well.
Sure.
But the Bucks have been churning out some coordinators. But yeah, Trevor, MVP. I don't hate that dark horse.
Yeah, I don't hate it as a dark horse either because of the talent they have on offense, and Liam Cohen is a good coach. But yeah, so moving on out west, man, this is an interesting division. One fan base may hate me after this discussion, but I got the Chiefs winning it. The Chiefs are going to win this division. It's not a debate. Andy Reid couldn't even lose this division with Alex Smith as his quarterback, so he's going to win the division. There's no doubt about it. I got the Chargers at number 2, and yeah, I'm fairly confident that they'll finish second in this division, although they have some question marks, like Rashawn Slater's out for the year. And then, you have, I guess the Herbert question marks, if you will. I guess if Herbert can carry a team, that's kind of still a question mark in some people's minds, not really in mine. But, and then I've got the Broncos at 3rd. I got to see it, man. I got to see it one more year from Bo Nix. I just need to. I think they have a good roster. I think they have some up-and-coming stars. Like Nick Benito is a star at this point. I like some of their draft picks. So I could definitely see them being second in the division. I don't think they're going to win the division, though. I don't think there's a chance for that. And then the Raiders at 4th. I think they're just too devoid of talent to overcome that, even though I think they will be a lot better with Geno and the coach, Pete Carroll.
I agree on that one as well. Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, Raiders. And again, our show is Stop the Takes, right? We don't do the whole thing is not takes, and what you won't see is us saying the Chiefs are missing the playoffs. You could obviously a lot of this is subjective in terms of like some of the seeding that we'll get into and whatnot, but like people who act like every year it's like the Chiefs are suddenly going to fall off and not own this division like they have with Andy Reid and Mahomes is just
Super Bowl
ridiculous.
last year.
Yeah,
Like,
and
come
every
on,
season, it's like in the Patriots too. It's like every time a team, you just wait for that to happen. But yeah, and the Chargers, I still feel like it was proven immediately that the Jim Harbaugh baseline
just wins, man.
is very high.
It is very high. He's a phenomenal
and Sean
football
Payton,
coach. Same
and
thing,
I think the Broncos, yeah, that's where with the Broncos, it's like even if Nix isn't great, I still kind of believe in Sean Payton to get it done.
do too.
You know?
I do too. I think some Broncos, this might hurt some Broncos fans' feelings, but I think if you're the credit pie, if you're looking at who deserves credit for the Broncos last season, I think more of that credit goes to Sean Payton and Bo Nix, in my opinion. I mean, Bo Nix was the 6th quarterback taken in his class, Dakota. Not that means anything like too much, but usually QB6 in a class doesn't come in and lead a team to the playoffs. So Bo Nix definitely deserves some of that credit. But again, I think Sean Payton was dialing it up last year. And to your point, he also has a winning baseline.
Yeah, for sure. And then that's where Pete Carroll becomes the wild card in this because he's the same thing.
Yes.
You have 4 coaches that have a baseline that is very
4 Hall
high,
of Fame
and now they're all
coaches.
yeah, exactly. That are all now competing. I mean, it's going to be absolutely insane to watch, and I'm excited to see it. And I hope the Raiders, are fighting for a wild card spot going down. But I just think the roster is still a year minimum. It's just got too many holes. All right, so here's how we'll do this. Let's do our playoff seeding for the AFC now.
Okay.
And then we'll go to the NFC and then come back and do our conference championships and Super Bowl picks. So what does your seeding look like for the AFC?
So what do you want me to start from 1 to 7 or 7 to 1?
I'll let you make the call.
All right, I'll go 1 to
Have you
7
do it?
since I think
All
the
right.
top is more chalky. I've got the Bills getting the number 1 seed. Okay, this is
Okay.
maybe spoiler alert.
Foreshadowing.
That's a big part of my potential Super Bowl pick. I've got the Ravens at the 2nd seed. Okay, Ravens are number
Ooh.
2. Heavily debated them at number 1. Chiefs at number 3. And like these things, it's all really close between those 3 teams.
It is.
Those are the 3 teams. And then Texans at 4, obviously, and then Bengals at 5. They will make the playoffs.
Mhm.
They're going to be back in the dance, and they're going to be a problem in the dance. Nobody wants to see Joe Burr and Jamar Chase in the playoffs. And then I got the Chargers at 6. That winning baseline, man. I think Harbaugh is just a phenomenal coach, and they also have Justin Herbert. So I think he's at the very least a good regular season quarterback. I'll say that. And then the story of the NFL, I think this next season, or the underdog story in the NFL, the New England Patriots at 7. I think they're going to squeak in as a wild card. I think, dude, listen, again, 3rd easiest schedule in the NFL.
Yeah.
Outside of the Bills, one of the easiest divisions to play in the NFL. They look like they have some great young talent. Travion Henderson looks electric. Drake May looked really good as a rookie. And then we're going back to winning baselines from coaches. Mike Vrabel gets the most out of talent. He showed that at Tennessee. Some talented rosters, but not overly talented rosters, he took to great places at Tennessee. And Vrabel's a great head coach. So I think the Patriots will squeak into that 7th seed.
I like it. Catch up on Chad a little bit. Nate saying, bias aside, it's crazy home and on the road. How much fight in the playoffs? So it was making me think. It's a really good point because the Ravens have been blown out with Lamar. The Chiefs have not, and the Bills have not. So those 3, Chiefs, Bills, and Bengals, it's like if they're there, it's a fight. And the Ravens will be too. I mean, they just had early on in Lamar's career with the Titans, actually. But that is a really good point. So mine is similar, but I knew what we would differ on here. I had a feeling. So
Okay.
again, foreshadowing a little bit, my number 1 seed is the Ravens.
The Ravens, yeah.
And then number 2 is
Goes
Chiefs.
back to the QB discussion.
It does. Two Chiefs, 3 Bills. Again, those 3 are interchangeable. It's like the top 4 quarterbacks, man. Any given year, interchange them. Don't get mad about it. It's just that's what it's going to be on a year-to-year basis, man.
Be happy you
Texans
have a top 4
4
quarterback in the NFL.
Yes. Yeah, that is so good that at any moment they could be the best in the NFL.
And by the way, they're all future Hall of Famers. Like, we're not talking your guy.
No, I promise. And then the Texans at 4 still. And then I switched things up a little. I just think baseline of Harbaugh, he'll probably win a few more games. The Bengals probably start 1 and 2 again. Let's be honest. It just happens. Sorry, Nate.
Probably lose the Browns.
But they get 6 seed. Yeah. I mean, we've seen it before. It's happened. I think that's exactly what happened when in Pittsburgh, actually. I think they may have lost the Browns that week. But Bengals at 6, and then I have the Broncos at 7. So mine was the chalkiest of chalk because I'm just kind of taking the same teams as last year.
Try to get on those Broncos fans' good side. I like it.
Steelers, yeah, switching the Steelers and Bengals basically. But I wanted to my whole reasoning was just that the AFC is pretty weak after the top few teams, and it's kind of interchangeable. And I think the Patriots are going to take a step forward, but I think the Broncos squeak in. It's like a last week of the season thing. And you bring up a good point. It is something to think about. Mike Vrabel kind of showed he is also a high baseline at Tennessee, where he constantly made that team out roster. So I could very well see them getting into the playoffs, and I suspect they'll be fighting for the last few weeks to try to get in there if not.
Yeah, and I think the Broncos will be right there in all seriousness. It's just they play in the hardest division in football. Like the Raiders are going to be a tough out twice a year. The Chiefs are obviously a tough out, and then of course the Chargers. Like that's just a really hard division to win in. So, but yeah, they'll probably be right there fighting for it.
And the other teams, to be honest, that's the thing where I'm like, I don't know who else really will be in the AFC. You know, the Steelers could be because they'll be 9-8, so they'll probably be in there in the last. If Danny Dimes plays well, the Colts, you know, roster wise, if the Jags take that step forward like you're predicting, they could be fighting for it. And then who knows if Pete Carroll has the high baseline, they could also be as well.
I'll add to the Jag. I think the Jags are the team I think has the widest range of outcomes here. Like I could this maybe people consider this a hot take, but I think the Jags could be like the 3rd seed at the end of the year, or at least the 4th seed. They could win the AFC South. I just have to see it first. Like we have to see Trevor Lawrence actually take that step forward. I just am intrigued by the playmakers that they have there. And again, they play in the AFC South, dude. Like how hard can it be? The classic saying,
How hard can it
it's
be?
the AFC South, dude. I mean, it's not that hard to win. So I think the Jags could definitely make it.
Yeah, I like that. That's a very good point too, because all it takes is winning the worst division, arguably in football, to get in. It's a very good point. That's probably the most open playoff spot, even almost more than some of the wild card ones. So, and then Nate saying he likes the Broncos this year. The defense incredible. It's an interesting one because it on paper didn't look incredible going into last year necessarily, but Nick Bonito broke out, and you know Zach Allen is probably one of the more underrated guys in the NFL. They add Jahdae Barron to that secondary with the reigning defensive player of the year. So that's the thing that could help carry them if Nick's regresses towards the mean or is just, you know, doesn't progress linearly like everybody expects quarterbacks to. So
we'll see.
All right. Yeah. No comment.
No comment.
All right. So we'll come back to the AFC Championship matchups when we predict Super Bowl. So let's move to the NFC, starting with the NFC North that I suspect may have shaken up a little bit with the news today of the Micah Parsons trade. So how does your NFC North look?
Maybe recency bias has gone to be, man, but Micah Parsons moves the damn needle. He just does. I have the Packers at 4th before this trade. I now have them winning the division. It's just, I think it matters that much, dude. The Packers are a team that before today, were solid across the board. They don't have a ton of holes, but they're void of superstar talent. I think the Micah Parsons trade changes that, and I think Matthew Golden could potentially change that as well. So I have them winning division. But here's the thing with this division too. I'll say this before I get into the rest of it. I have them at 4th, but all 4 of these teams will be fighting for a playoff spot. I feel that. I mean, they're some of the best teams in football. So like whoever finishes last in this division, I think they still will be fighting for that last wild card spot. I have the Lions at 2nd. I had them winning the division. Listen, I honestly wouldn't be shocked whatsoever if the Lions win this division again. I think they still probably have top to bottom the best roster in that division. And then I have the Bears at 3. I had the Bears at 2 before this. I'm gonna believe, man. Everyone has jumped off.
He's a believer.
I'm a believer. Listen, I am, and this might upset a buddy in the chat of ours, but I'm a believer in the Bears. I am. I think Caleb's fine, and honestly, the preseason games had a big influence on me, dude. Their offense looked like a well-oiled machine in the preseason. And yes, it is preseason. That's a caveat to all preseason analysis. But it looked different, dude. It looked a whole lot different. I think Ben Johnson will be an X factor. And I think they'll finish 3rd. And then now I guess I have the Vikings 4th. I don't feel great about that. I'll be honest. I think all 4 of these teams can win this division. The Vikings are still really talented, and I think they'll again still be fighting for the playoffs.
This is an easy one for fan bases to definitely get upset at because again, it's like the top quarterbacks thing where it's like you're all good, mostly interchangeable. Yeah, it's like you're all good. So mine, I still have the Lions at 1st. I do suspect some growing pains with the departures of Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. I think losing both your coordinators, as the Eagles showed a couple years ago, is tough to come back from sometimes. So I think that we'll have some growing pains there. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if they slip up and not win the division because of that. But I do have the Packers at 2nd. I did have them 4th as well because again, it was just a didn't get better thing in the offseason, like we talked about Parsons trade video. But now they have one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. That changes things pretty drastically for a team that had been desperately looking for pass rush. So them at 2. I have the Vikings at 3. So while My logic
You're
there
not a
is
believer.
again, I'm just so low for some reason on first year head coaches apparently, but I have the Bears at 4 and it's mainly because I think it's going to take a year. I think it's going to take a year getting on the
It's
same
fair.
page, mainly getting Caleb on the right track because last year with Eberflus and everything disaster. So I think it takes a year of getting it figured out together, getting him on the right track again, and getting the defense better as well. With the Vikings, it's ironic because now I'm talking about a dude who's like not talked football at all or not played football at all. But JJ McCarthy is coming in, and that I was, we've talked about it a million times. I'm not I just saw that. I wasn't big on McCarthy coming out of college necessarily, but I believe in Kevin O'Connell. KOC
Yeah.
has a track record of taking Kirk Cousins, who was an average starter in Washington, making him a top 10, top 12 quarterback, taking Sam Darnold, whose career looked over, and turning him into an MVP candidate. So I'm just banking on KOC making JJ McCarthy with Justin Jefferson, and when Thielen coming in to replace Addison until he's back from his suspension, keeping him on, making him look like a right out of the gate and helping him out, and they finished third because of that. But yeah, it's pretty interchangeable here.
It is, and yeah, I gotta say, I do not feel good about these picks at all because the Vikings just added Adam Thielen. Like the Vikings are gonna be, if JJ McCarthy is average, they're gonna be unstoppable on offense. I feel terrible about these picks. I almost want to change it now that I'm thinking about it. I genuinely think we could see all 4 of these teams make the playoffs. And I don't know how it's going to work mathematically. Don't ask me. And I didn't pick all 4 of them to make it, but I'm so high on all of these teams, man. Like they all got better, especially now that the Packers added Micah. They all got a whole lot better in the offseason. And I think all of their ceilings are so incredibly high, dude. Like so incredibly high. I mean, you got Ben Johnson and the Bears. And then I was a little higher on McCarthy. I think McCarthy was a solid prospect.
Yeah.
But dude, how can he fail? I just don't, you know what I'm saying? Like he has to be awful for the Vikings to be bad, dude. Like he has to be absolutely awful with those playmakers and Kevin O'Connell.
I love hyping. It's like the Caleb Williams negative one where he was missing the nets. But I saw a clip of JJ the other day. It's with Addison, ironically, for the first few weeks, but him working on getting in rhythm with them, where he threw out with anticipation, where it was way before Addison broke, and it was just perfect. And it's like if you build that, it got me excited. All right, I believe in. But he's building those relationships and that timing and that anticipation down. So, but we'll see. Yeah, this one was tough. And honestly, I'm just going to preface saying that picking the playoff teams in general for the NFC was much tougher than the AFC.
Yes.
And now looking, I don't feel good about it in the slightest. So I'm ready to be roasted for it when your team's not in. I apologize in advance.
Please forgive us in this division in particular, because this division in particular, all 4 of these teams can win it.
Literally. And they all 4 will probably be fighting for a playoff spot down to the wire at minimum. Catch up on Chad a little bit. Daniel saying, not sure if it takes him to the top, but definitely finishing higher than the Bums now. The unbiased opinion for sure. Dakota's a ball gnawer. I don't know about that. Appreciate the chats though. Yeah, we'll see.
We'll have to revisit.
Don't revisit
at the end of the year.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's move to the East, the NFC East, which is the other division that probably got shaken up a little bit due to the Parsons trade today. How does that look for you?
Yes. So it didn't get shaken up too much, but definitely a demotion in this division. So I have the Eagles winning it. Someone's gonna have to beat the Eagles, man. They're gonna have to beat them and take them off their throne before I pick someone else. And then I have the Commanders at number 2, pretty much shock from here. And before the Micah trade, I had the Cowboys at 3rd. I'm demoting them to 4th, man. I was already high on the Giants in the preseason. Dart looks really good. I mean, Dart looks really, really good. I think Dart could save Dayball and Joe Sheen's job. And the Cowboys look terrible. They just do. And like, I don't want to be like, I don't know, to like put too much recency bias into it and overreact to one player. But we're talking about a top 2 pass rusher in the NFL, dude. Like this is an X factor on defense. This isn't just some random play. It's not like a Kenny Clark type. It's, who's not really moving the needle, who they got back in the trade. It's Micah freaking Parsons, dude. It's such a huge piece of this defense. And I don't know. The Cowboys roster looks really rough now, especially in the trenches on both sides of the ball. So yeah, I have them finishing fourth.
Mine is the same. I'll just say that. So Eagles at 1, yeah, they are still probably the best roster in football. Roseman just consistently building a team that is staying to continue to succeed, bringing in talent, drafting guys who get kind of handed to you on a silver platter at the end of the draft, who's the best linebacker in the entire class. But yeah, they're at number 1. Commanders at 2, solidifying themselves as a consistent contender now, especially within that division. And then I agree. I switched the Giants and the Cowboys because the entire situation for the Cowboys is rough. Losing your best player, and then you also have the first-time head coach aspect. And I worry for him. I feel bad for him of what he's going to be up against this season with a defense that looks pretty bad on paper. And yeah, the Giants are sneaky because Daboll showed a few years ago that he could win with Daniel Jones. And his baseline's decently high. They had a terrible year last year still, but even with Russ out there, I mean, got Malik Neighbors. The offensive line's looking better. There's still some question marks at guard, and what you do with Evan Neal, just probably send him.
You bench him,
elsewhere.
You put somebody else in.
Yeah,
Marcus Monroe,
get him off the field.
Play anyone
Marcus
else.
Vogt. Yeah, literally. But you still got some playmakers on offense. The defensive line is arguably the best in football right now. So I think the Giants could be sneaky. It all comes down to quarterback play, though. And whether it's Russ or Dart, because you mentioned Dart did look – he impressed in preseason. He did. I know it's preseason. We can overvalue it. I mean, Shedeur stuff, it's either you overvalue it, say it doesn't mean anything, but it's somewhere in the middle, and it is that it matters that he did look good then, because if he looked bad, that's concerning, but he looked good. So I think he could be playing sooner rather than later, but – even with Russ at the helm, I mean, he showed last year with the Steelers with a decent roster that he could still pretty consistently win, even with not playing, to the level he had in the past. So, also went with the Giants above the Cowboys there.
Yeah, I gotta agree, man. I mean, not to mention Penn State edge rushers added to that room, old Abdul Carter, and the other Penn State edge rushers out of the division now. So, yeah, I mean, they just honestly, like top to bottom, they probably have a better roster than Dallas. Like now, Dallas has the quarterback figured out, which is the biggest piece. But the Giants have Dart, young quarterback who has a ton of potential. So yeah, I agree. I think I'm gonna take Giants over Dallas in that division.
And the X factor and all that could be if Schottenheimer ends up being a fantastic coach, that could change things pretty heavily, but we have to see it. So
the head coach that got no other interviews, by the way.
Yes. Yeah. So it doesn't look great right now, but check on your Dallas fans, people. Check on your Dallas friends, sports fans in general.
Especially
they've had a rough
the
8 months
trade and the Micah trade. It's brutal.
It's been a rough time, man. Check on them. All right, let's go down south. NFC South, which is a little interesting.
It is.
How's that look for you?
I thought about being different in this division, but I'm a Baker believer, man. I'm a Baker believer. I think he's fringe elite. I do. I think he's fringe elite at this point. He's not always consistent. You're gonna get some turnover worthy plays in there, but he's a great player. And the Bucks as a roster have improved, man. They have just gotten better and better. It feels like drafting really well the last few years. Emeka Ibuka looks like he can come in and make a difference. So I have them winning the division. The Falcons at number 2. I'm a Michael Penix believer. I am. I think the Falcons have an extremely high ceiling. I think their floor isn't that high though. Like we have to see a full year of Penix, and they still have the question mark of edge rusher. Did one of the 2 first rounders fix their edge rusher problem? But I think they'll be fine for a wild card at the very least. And then I have the Panthers at 3rd. I don't know, man. I just, again, it's another thing where I need a full year of Bryce Young not being awful. I need a full year of it because we haven't got a full year of it yet. And he looks fixed. Like the end of last year and the beginning of the preseason this year, and all of a sudden it looks like that receiving core is a lot better, a lot younger. But I just need to see it, man. I need to see it for a full season. And then, the chalk, I have the New Orleans Saints finishing last.
So I'm the same. Yeah, I do believe in Baker and the Bucks repeating as division champs here for like the third straight year now. I think, maybe even more. But
back to Brady.
Yeah, I think, yeah, exactly. They kind of own the. They did get better, and that offense. I'm excited. I'm a big Bucky believer. I believe in Bucky and him being the full-time starter now, and adding Ibuka to this offense. It's gonna be exciting to watch. Falcons at 2 as well. I think Penix is going to be pretty good, but I still just don't know how I feel about the team overall. They got some playmakers on offense, and for sure, but the defense is still just a question for me.
You
and the edge
Kyle
rush,
Pitts believer?
not quite yet.
Okay.
His breakout year's coming in 2 more seasons.
Okay, gotcha.
I will say he seemed to play a little bit well with Penix, but we'll see. I mean, Drake London's still really good, and obviously Bijan. So they've got weapons on offense. So there's no excuse on offense. Though I do think was it Caleb McGarry went down with an injury after paying him, so that could impact things pretty heavily. And then on defense, it's just there's still question marks kind of all over the place. The D line in general. Edge rush, pass rush. So that could be their weak spot again this year. If JPJ, James Pierce Jr. and Jalen Walker can fix that. And then Panthers at 3. I think got to see it again from Bryce. I'm kind of projecting that he at least looks decent again. And then the Saints. Yeah, I'm sorry, Saints fans. It's 2026 draft prep time.
It is, man. It is. Hey, good news is it looks like Arch is going to be a dude. We haven't seen it yet. We got to see him play. The intangibles are there. Imagine Peyton Manning with athleticism. That's Arch Manning. So hopefully he comes out and saves your franchise next year.
Hopefully, or somebody else like a John Mateer who's starting to get some steam, has a big arm. A guy like that breaks out, has a Cam Ward season, and you're looking pretty good. But all right, to the last division, the NFC West. What does the NFC West look like for you? Another little interesting one.
Yeah, it is interesting. I think 3 teams can win this division. I am lower on one of the 3, but I think 3 teams are talented enough to win it. I've got the 49ers winning it, man. Another team that the schedule made an impact for me. They have, I think, the second easiest schedule in the NFL. So that played a factor. I still think Kyle Shanahan is one of the best coaches in the NFL. And they still have the star power, dude. They still have the star power. I think what I'm looking at for the Niners is, can one of those young defensive linemen break out and give Nick Bosa a partner in crime? And then I have the Rams at 2. We've been really high on the Rams. I'm worried, man. I'm worried about Stafford. That's what this comes down to. I guess I'm a little bit worried some of those videos are AI and they're photoshopping his face. But in all seriousness, no, I think the back will be a problem. I mean, he's just getting up there in age, and it's a back injury, man. It's like it's one of those things that just lingers, and that's literally the only reason they legitimately could be my Super Bowl pick in the NFC if the Stafford health wasn't a question mark, because I think everywhere else this is a loaded roster, dude. I mean, one of the best receiving duos in the NFL. The defensive line is disgusting. It's absolutely incredible. But I just have a question mark at the quarterback position, man. Stafford's really good, but the health is a question.
I agree on the. Oh, actually, I have the Rams winning it. So I am going. I believe in the back. I believe in Stafford's ability to play through it. I'm going to just assume. I'm making an assumption. Correct. And I'm just going to make an assumption because, I mean, again, it's like a 50-50 coin flip on this of just that it doesn't bother him this season and that he's fine and that the rest he's taken, the reason he didn't play, and that he'll be all right. So I'm kind of banking on that for more than one reason. But the roster is loaded. I mean, the team, the defense is especially that front four now, or really front six with the rotational pieces they have there as well. You had Devontae with Puka Nakua and Kyron Williams, and they also draft Ferguson at tight end. So they're looking pretty good on offense. 49ers in second. So just flipping that, I think to get back on track. I think, and you mentioned at the top that you're only going to mention injuries. That's what derailed them. I mean, this team was fighting for its life last year due to injuries, and I don't think the full team even played a game together, it felt like. So I think they get past that a bit and just get back on track, because Brock Purdy still played well. But I think they, assuming that doesn't happen again, Kyle Shanahan is one of the best coaches in the NFL. And then here's where I think we're going to disagree. I have the Seahawks at 3.
No,
and then
I
the
also
Cardinals
had Seahawks
at 4.
at 3.
Okay.
And
I was
Cardinals
thinking
at
about
4.
I think the Seahawks have looked good in the preseason.
They
I think
have,
Mike
dude.
McDonald may just
They
be a
have.
good coach, man. He might just be a good coach.
And I think Kubiak deserves credit for what he's done on the offense, because the offense looks really good. And yeah, honestly, I never really questioned Seattle's defense this offseason. It's mostly been Darnold. Like, Darnold is, to me, is still a question mark, because you have all this sample of Darnold being a well below average starter, and then you have this past season where Kevin O'Connell seemed to fix him, but then he was broken again in the end of the season, in the postseason. And part of the reason he broke, I think, is the interior offensive line, which, Seattle has had the same issues as Minnesota has the last 5 seasons with interior offensive line. They add Gray Zabel in the draft, which, I mean, Gray Zabel looks like a player. Like, he looks like he's going to play well, which that fixes one of the spots, but it doesn't fix the rest of the line. They also have, like, one of their tackles also isn't great. Charles Cross is fine, but the other tackle is not great either. Like, I don't know. Darnold behind a bad O-line does scare me, but you're right. I mean, the offense has been clicking in the preseason.
Yeah, I agree, and it does worry me as well, because his collapse games last year were due to interior pressure more than outside pressure, and
correct,
that happened in the Rams playoff game where he just was seeing ghosts again. So it is the concern for me as well, especially when you have to play the Rams twice, which is the team that did it to him twice last year as well. So that's not great. But yeah, I'm kind of believing in Mike McDonald as a head coach right now, and this team, just the way they looked in the preseason, Kubiak coming in, the defense once they got figured out last year, McDonald obviously can coach defense up, man. And, they still have a really good, corner duo, Enrique Woolen and Witherspoon. So I feel good about the Seahawks, competing for that second spot potentially, but fighting for a playoff spot late. And then the Cardinals, it's tough, because honestly, Jonathan Gannon has impressed me. Whenever he came in and had that, embarrassing "who took the bus here" speech and whatnot, I was like, oh man, this is not going to be a fun ride for them. But his baseline has been higher than I thought it would. They have outperformed kind of the roster, especially the defense, man. The defense on paper last year was abysmal, and they still managed to win some games. And I think they'll be better this year. I just don't think they're quite there. And unfortunately, like, the NFC is starting to get better at quarterback, and Kyler Murray kind of keeps getting dropped down that list now. Like, a few years ago, he was a little bit further up it, but now, and he's just not shown signs of, like, the consistency at playing at a high level that we know he's capable of. And I think that's part of the problem.
That's the frustration with Kyler, because it's like some games where he's unstoppable, and then other games where he's below average. It's just a lot of inconsistency. They didn't get what they expected out of Marvin Harrison his rookie year, so that's another X factor on this team. They're obviously expecting him to take a huge jump forward. He's definitely taking a step forward in the weight room. He looks absolutely jacked, but I don't know if that matters at the wide receiver position, frankly. But yeah, I do think they're going to have a good defense. I mean, they added a ton of talent on defense. Walter Nolan and Will Johnson in the draft, who I think game changers on that defense. Will Johnson has looked really good. So I'm interested to see what their defense looks like. But yeah, you just, like, comparing them to other teams in the division, kind of like you said, they might have the worst quarterback in the division, depending on how Darnold looks. So that's a problem. And I think overall, they definitely have the worst offense in the division. So,
and unfortunately, I saw, I think yesterday, that Walter Nolan is out for the first 4 weeks at least. He's on the designated to return. So yeah, he will.
Oh,
So
that's
that
brutal.
also is a pretty big blow. Yeah.
That
So
is.
that's unfortunate for them because we were both, I was really high on him when we did our mock. I think I got like 10th overall, which he went 16th. But
that's
unfortunate
crazy
for the
prediction.
Seahawks or for the Cardinals with those young rookies that were promising. So, all right, let's move to the NFC seeding. So, what does your playoff seeding look like? Which this is where I think we'll have differences pretty heavily in who even makes the playoffs because the NFC, as I mentioned earlier, was a bit tougher for me.
Yeah, so this one got shaken up quite a bit as well. To be honest, it screws up my Super Bowl prediction based on the Packers projection. But I'll stick to my guns. The Packers are going to win the division with Micah now. So I've got the Eagles at 1, chalk. Got the Packers at 2, apparently, with this new news. And then I've got the 49ers at 3rd, and then the Bucks with the 4th seed. And then the wild card teams, I'll go ahead and throw the Lions at the 5th seed, the Rams, the Commanders at the 6th seed, and then I have the Rams at the 7th seed, the last wild card team. So kind of the chalky teams outside the Packers before today. So yeah, that's my division, or my seeding for the NFC.
So it's interesting. Ours is very similar, except we just kind of move teams around. But I have the Eagles at 1, chalk, Lions at 2, and then I have the Rams coming in at 3, followed by the Bucks at 4. So I just switched. Packers are at 5 because of that. But I have the Commanders at 6, and then the 49ers at 7. So just kind of flipping.
Yeah.
Flipping
flipping
the division
we're
teams.
Just flipping seeds.
Yeah, flipping them around. So, and I think, part of that's just that. We kind of just talk through it. It was tough because the teams that are on the outside looking in are both of us left out the other 2 NFC North teams, which is worth noting.
It is.
And then the Falcons, not quite there for a wild card spot. And then the Seahawks, too, kind of on the outside looking in.
Another disclosure, I feel terrible about my seating, dude. I do.
Same.
I just feel terrible about it, man. I just don't feel good about not having more NFC North teams in the playoffs. But how do you let the Commanders miss, or how do you let the Rams miss? I don't know. Like, kind of like you said, I think why the NFC feels deeper than the AFC is because those elite quarterbacks in the AFC just are so dominant, and you just know, okay, it's going to be Bills, it's going to be Ravens, it's going to be Chiefs, and then some years the Bengals will make some noise, right? Like, you just know it's going to be those 4 teams. The problem with the NFC is, okay, you have the Eagles who have the most loaded roster, but after that, you can see anybody. Like, you could just see anyone making noise in that conference.
Especially when you add the layers now of the Lions losing both their coordinators, what that means to a team that was the number 1 seed last year. That's a wrench in all of it. The changes within the division where you have young Jay McCarthy coming in, and now Ben Johnson's the head coach of the Bears. It's just, there's a lot of unknown that's kind of shaking it up. The Packers getting Micah Parsons just impacted it on the fly for us. So it is tough. And again, that's why doing things like this is a little tough with just this design of our show anyway, where we're not looking for takes. There's nuance to this, and it's like, this is what we're projecting, but it's, again, we don't feel good about it because there's so much nuance to this. And at the end of the day, you can see it going in a million different directions, and that's the fun of it all. So, all right. With that in mind, let's move on to championship and Super Bowl predictions. After saying we don't want the boldness of that. So here we go. Let's go straight into that.
Yeah.
So after finding out our seedings, what are your AFC and NFC championship matchups?
So, man, before the Micah Parsons trade, I'm not going to lie, I had the Lions making the Super Bowl. I still hope this happens for Lions fans. I'll start with AFC. I have Chiefs at Bills. I was going to go Ravens at Bills because I think those are the best 2 teams in the AFC. But for Bills fans' sake, I don't think they'll care either way, but it would just be kind of the cherry on the sundae if they can beat the Chiefs to get to the Super Bowl, right? To get over that hump, because it's a hump to get to the Super Bowl, but really the kryptonite has been the Chiefs. So it would just be such a plus if they can beat them on the way there. So I got Chiefs at Bills, and then I've got the Bills winning it. And then the NFC Championship, man, my pick before was bold. So beforehand, I had Bucks at Lions. I do not feel good about that pick, people. Okay. I'm going to change it up.
Ooh,
I'm going to go
okay,
total
on the fly.
chalk. Top two seeds make it. Packers
Wow.
at Eagles, and I'm gonna take the Eagles in that matchup. I'm just gonna believe in the good roster. I can't believe I went chalk. I kind of wish I left it the same because
Mhm.
Bucks at Lions would be elite, dude. I think every NFL fan outside of Eagles fans would sign up for that in an absolute heartbeat. But yeah, give me Packers at Eagles. Eagles
Wow.
winning.
So mine is very chalky, a little bit chalky. So I again prefacing it when we were doing our seeding for the AFC is that uh, foreshadowing to what our Super Bowl picks would be. I have Chiefs at Ravens. And this isn't knocking on the Bills because to be honest, I've talked about the Hard Knocks right now, man. I would love to see. Honestly, I think all three of these dudes, Burrow, Allen, and Lamar, deserve to win Super Bowls, and unfortunately, most 2 out of 3, maybe all three may never will. Who knows? But I'd love to see them all do it. So I hope for Bills fans' sake they can get there. I would love a Bills Ravens AFC
Oh,
Championship game.
man.
But what I have happening basically is that the Ravens get to avoid both of them, or having to play both. Bills Chiefs in the divisional, they get the Chiefs, and then they get to do the same thing. The monkey off their back. Chiefs come into Baltimore and they manage to take them down to go to the Super Bowl. And then in the NFC, again, I am banking on Stafford's back, man. I am banking on that back and that not being AI, or if they throw a robot version of him out there, I don't know. But I've got Rams at Eagles for the NFC Championship game because I just believe in that roster, man. If Stafford is the same, that's a good team. And then I have Ravens Eagles as my Super Bowl matchup, and I'll go ahead and say that I have the Ravens winning it. So my logic is the Eagles are the team to take down, and I'm believing in the Ravens to go win the Super Bowl. Lamar played the best that he has in the playoffs last year, even in a loss that was a heartbreaker that they had a chance to win there at the end. And I think he carries that over into this season, manages to finally get it done with probably the second best roster in the NFL behind the Eagles.
Yeah, probably. Even though I think they do have some offensive line questions. So as I mentioned, I have Eagles, Bills. I'm taking the Bills, man. I believe in Josh Allen. I mean, I've just been thinking about it, man. It feels like Josh Allen could be the guy with 3 Super Bowls. It just does. And I know he's not, okay? Mahomes deserves all the credit in the world for doing the 13-second comeback. It doesn't happen without Mahomes getting them in field goal range, right? But last year, even, it's like the quarterback sneak. He's short, but he really wasn't short. I mean, again, it's the Bills getting screwed over in like the most heartbreaking way possible. Josh Allen is so damn good. And you just mentioned Lamar's playoff performances, how they've been shaky, especially before last year. And even last year in the first half of that Bills game, he wasn't great. Josh Allen has been phenomenal in the playoffs, dude. He has been so damn good, but he just hasn't been able to get over the Chiefs hump. And of course, Nate V, I'm sure he'll remind us in the chat that the Bengals also beat them one year in Buffalo. But listen, I think it's their damn year, dude. That defense is really intriguing. I think that's they're always a good defense. But I think they're sneaky good this year. That defensive line especially is one of the deepest defensive line rooms in the NFL. I will say I am concerned about the secondary. The secondary is concerning just because of injuries. Oh my God, Nate V coming in the chat saying Burrow owns the Bills and the Chiefs. Pump the brakes on that, my friend. Pump the brakes. Because you got to get in the dance first, Nate V. You got to get in the dance. And Josh Allen's got his boys in the dance every year. But listen, man, Bills Mafia freaking deserves it, man. Like you said, the Hard Knocks, dude. Listen to that. Dude, they bleed blue over there, man. Like, they are all Bills. That town is all Bills. It's all they freaking care about. It's the culture there. I absolutely love seeing that. And they deserve it, man. After the 4 years in the, the 90s where they lost 4 straight with Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas and Andre Reed at the helm, and then all these heartbreaks with Josh Allen, the Bills deserve a damn Super Bowl. So give me the Bills to win it all over the Eagles.
I do love it, and send away to Ralph Wilson Stadium by winning a Super Bowl in their final season. I think what both of us are doing is banking on somebody finally getting over the hump. Somebody other than the Chiefs. And Chiefs fans, you could sit out one more Super Bowl, man. You cannot be a part of one of them.
Can you
You'll
let
be all right.
one other team have a chance?
Somebody else just go there, and I think it is, and I wouldn't be shocked at all. Bills, I think, again, a Ravens Bills AFC Championship game would be pretty awesome to watch, just from the sake of two guys that have been fighting to get there. But I like the Bills pick, and I think both of those matchups against the pretty spectacular as well on the big stage, because on the other side, the Eagles are just still the best team in the NFC, in my opinion. And when they've gotten to the playoffs, I have been negative on Jalen Hurts, and we've had the hate comments because of it. But he has played very well in the playoffs consistently when he has gotten there every single time. So if they make it there, they are very difficult to beat. And if they get home field advantage again, too, those Philly fans show up, it's tough to take them down there. And the Rams almost did it last year, to be fair, which makes that matchup very interesting if mine happened. But I just think the Eagles, they're the team to beat in the NFC still, and they'll make it back. And then, basically what we're saying is either the Bills or the Ravens get there, and we have an epic showdown, and somebody finally gets over the hump.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think we all, as NFL fans, maybe some fans like of the Colts and Titans think their team can win it every year. We're Colts and Titans fans, man. We have no chance, okay? We have absolutely zero chance to make it to a Super Bowl. So I gotta root for other storylines, man. And I just hope someone new is there. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping someone like Josh Allen or Lamar or Joe Burrow, or Baker Mayfield or Jared Goff has a chance to win one. I have to say, last thing I'll say about the NFC, dude, I could see 6 or 7 teams making the Super Bowl. I really could. It's like, or at least getting to the NFC Championship. I'll say that because, like you said, it's going to be extremely hard to beat Philadelphia, especially in Philadelphia. Like, I think teams are going to have to hope that they somehow lose that division or get the second seed in the NFC or something like that. But man, there are so many intriguing teams in the NFC with, I think, high ceilings in that conference. So it's gonna be fun to watch how it plays out.
Yeah, and the unfortunate part for NFC fans is that they didn't get the number 1 seed last year, but it ended up not mattering because the Lions ended up having the rough outing against the Commanders in the divisional round. So they ended up avoiding having to go on the road. So, Nate V, agree with the Bills statement. Homer and me wants the Bengals, but I want Bills Lions so bad. And that's what I was about to say too. He's in on the Bills Eagles, but yeah, and it's not to say for Eagles fans out there, and I think they love it though. They eat it up when people don't want them to succeed.
Oh yeah.
Again, we're picking you to be there because you're the best right now. But I think as neutral fans across the NFL would love to see a Bills Lions or Bills Packers, Ravens Pack, like Bucks, Rams, whatever. Some Commanders, if Jaden can get it done, like seeing something different like that would be really exciting for just NFL in general. Yeah. But we'll see. We shall see.
Yep.
All right. That wraps up season prediction stuff. So all the divisions and the Super Bowl playoff, all of that. Now we're going to move on into awards, starting with rookies. Who is going to win offensive and defensive rookie of the year? Some of these feel a little chalk, and it's always easy to take the guys at the top, but like, who do you have as your offensive rookie of the year right now?
It is chalky. I picked Cam Ward, man. I'm going to give you a sleeper, though, because I think that's like the only way to make this conversation a little interesting. Because it always goes as a quarterback. I will say I've got 2 guys that could potentially win outside of Cam Ward. I'll start with my sleeper. TreVeyon Henderson, man. TreVeyon Henderson looks explosive. That dude just looked like he looked different immediately. I think those things matter, dude. Sometimes I'm a big fight fan, okay? Sometimes I see a fighter and I'm like, dude, they're just moving differently. They're just moving differently. You can tell that they are super high level. TreVeyon Henderson looked like that immediately when he hit an NFL field. I think that matters. So he's my sleeper pick. But also, Travis Hunter. I am very curious how people are going to view Travis Hunter and if people are going to let the two-way player impact how they vote on these awards, which Honestly, it probably should. Like it probably should to a certain extent, but it's kind of tough because they're kind of pigeonholed into offensive and defensive. And but he's doing both. So like, which one will they give him for doing both? I think it's more likely to be offensive, especially if he puts up good wide receiver stats. So I'll throw out Travis Hunter as well as a potential guy to take this award.
Yeah, I agree with the Cam Ward prediction because it usually just goes to the best quarterback. And assuming he just doesn't suck, there's a solid chance, just believing in him being decent enough to win it. But yeah, I like your shout for Travion. That one's really good. And then honestly, what I'll throw out there, who we just got hyped up a little bit a minute ago, is Matthew Golden as like my sleeper pick. Because if he becomes a true number one receiver for the Packers, he could out. And then obviously Genty being Genty is worth noting. But yeah, Travis Hunter is going to be interesting for both of these because with the Heisman, playing both sides of the ball had to impact that discussion, obviously, because it's the best player. This is going to be fascinating to see how they handle this because these are two separate awards for offense and for defense. So I kind of think you need to separate it a little bit in terms of what he does on offense. But if he goes out there and there is the chance he just wins both, which would be kind of crazy. But it could impact it, where if he does look great defensively and then he has the stats, you just give it to him. But yeah, I think, and then the other obvious one is like if Dart manages to get playing time, quarterbacks, it's always easy to get it. But
true.
But yeah, I think it's Cam Ward. But then Travion is solid because he has looked different.
He's looked different
so far.
Shouting out Travis winning both is interesting too because I think some of these AP voters would kind of like to be the person that does
want to do that.
Yeah, want to do that. Which if he earns it, I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that because this is unbelievable what he's going to attempt to do in the NFL. So I don't want to underplay that. I'm definitely not one of the people that underplayed the snap counts. People just wanted to say, oh, it's just snap counts that Travis Hunter has in college when he was truly an elite receiver and at the very least a very good cornerback. I would argue an elite cornerback in college. So, but yeah, I think in fairness to other players though, like we have to see him at least play average to good on both sides of the ball for them to consider doing that.
Yeah, and I agree that I do think AP voters would be chopping at the bits to just do it.
Yes.
I think it's part of the Heisman stuff. Again, he earned it, but I do think there was effect even just going on there where it's like I want to be a part of kind of a history thing, and like people love to do that stuff. So we'll see. He is the wild card in all of it because it's such a unique situation with a guy that is playing both sides. So
yeah.
All right, let's move on to defensive rookie then. Who is your defensive rookie of the year? I'm guessing it's probably the guy pictured there.
So yeah, if I had to bet any futures on these awards, it would be this. Abdul Carter is going to be a superstar, man. He's going to be an absolute superstar. I keep going back to the fact that he's also going to a team where there's not going to be a lot of extra attention. Now, we just saw him get chipped in the preseason and made look bad, but come on, man, he's going to be phenomenal. He's already shown that in the little preseason play. And you pair him with all of that talent on that defensive line, dude. So he's not going to have a ton of double teams because you can't double team Abdul Carter and Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau. You can't do that. Can't do it all. You gotta block somebody one-on-one. So yeah, I think Abdul Carter is going to run away with this. I do have a sleeper pick. Only one sleeper pick because it usually goes to a pass rusher. We know this, Dakota. Like it's very hard unless Travis Hunter, does what he does. But I'm gonna go Mike Green as my sleeper, man. Mike Green has also really impressed me. I wanted to be a homer with this because James Pierce has also looked pretty dang good in the preseason. He's still having the problem with finishing though, and that will hurt you with these awards because they're looking at sack totals. I mean, they're not really giving you credit for pressures like they should be. They're mostly looking at sacks. But I think Mike Green, I mean, that dude looks like a problem.
So that's my pick, actually. I'm going Mike Green. I'm going a little bold with it, but I liked what I've seen from him, and Ravens finally getting like a top tier pass rusher seems to have finally happened after getting, drafting guys a few times like Adafe and whatnot. But I like Mike Green. I think Abdul Carter, he's the one that's probably the most chance to win it. But if Mike Green can put up the production and just go out there, have a few games back in The 2 times he gets to play them as a statue. And even against Burrow in the offensive line with the Bengals, and Burrow does take sacks. I think that could just help boost his numbers up enough to help get him to that award. So I like Mike Green there. I do like Abdul Carter as another obvious option. And then Nate shouting out Will Johnson is a very interesting one. Jahdae Barron is also probably worth mentioning. I think it's going to be a little tough for win it. Sauce Gardner did win it a few years ago, but it does typically go to edge rushers because they're just easier to look at production.
Yeah. Which is just sack totals, by the way. It's not like actually advanced production. They just look at sack totals, which is a problem. But going back to Mike Green real quick, let's not forget, dude, probably a top 10 talent in this draft coming out. Like a guy who had the off-field stuff, which we won't rehash that, whatever. But he had the off-field stuff, so he fell all the way to the second round. But if we were just looking at like talent on the field, he was probably the second best pass rusher in the class behind Abdul Carter.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I think that he in a defensive scheme that I think likes to move people around, and it's going to give him a lot of opportunity to wreak havoc. Nate's saying they got Dalton Risner now, so they're good. He's a guard though, so if he's coming off the edge, it doesn't help. But
good luck with that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Yeah, defensive rookie of the year feels the most chalk. And offense, it's tough to an offense because it usually just goes to quarterbacks. But there's always the chance some random, later round edge guy who gets the chance to play could break out. But it's feeling like just a 2 to 3 man race, to be honest. So
it is.
All right, let's move on to offensive player, defensive player of the year, and coach of the year. So the reigning champs are, Saquon, Pat Surtain, and Kevin O'Connell for these. But who do you have as your offensive player of the year pick?
Man, I didn't like picking this. I think there's so many guys that can do it. It'll probably go to the receiver with the most yards or the running back with the most yards. It's very tough to predict. Like I could see Justin Jefferson, I could see Jamar Chase, I could see Saquon again, I could see Christian McCaffrey. But I went with Derrick Henry. I think D Hen is still really, really good. And yeah, I think he'll just be the guy that ends up winning it. Which, do I feel good about that pick? Not at all.
That's actually crazy. I actually picked Derrick Henry too.
Oh, there you go.
Which is surprising. I did not expect us to pick D Hen both. That's funny because he had a very he almost 2,000 yards again last season. Saquon obviously had the year that he did. So my logic is basically this dude doesn't age.
Nope.
So maybe if he just has a similar season again, it's crazy that he win it. But yeah, that's funny because I did not expect you to pick him. But like Jamar Chase is probably the other candidate that I want to throw out there. That's why I put graphic there because like he had a season last year worthy of it. But again, Saquon had the historic season, so it was a little tough. Saquon obviously up there again as a potential candidate. Justin Jefferson's always in there. Nate V shouting out Malik Neighbors, which I think is an interesting pick.
It's a good shout, dude.
He missed games last year and had like 100-something catches with missing multiple games. So he can easily have the production to back it up.
I'll throw out another LSU wide receiver sleeper in Brian Thomas Jr.
Brian Thomas.
Yeah, you add Travis Hunter to that offense, so it opens up Brian Thomas. And then if Trevor Lawrence takes a step forward, so yeah, I'll throw that out.
Give me Bucky Irving. I mean, honestly, sleeper, Bucky Irving. But yeah. All right. What about defensive player of the year?
I hope that last year is a trend and they start to let secondary players and non-pass rushers get this award more because there's plenty of years where they're worthy of it. But I'll also say about this award, Dakota, if it was truly the best defensive player every year, it would have been Myles Garrett ever since Aaron Donald retired. And when Aaron Donald played, it would have been Aaron Donald for 8 straight seasons. But they just don't do that. They have voter fatigue. And then sometimes they look at the most overrated stat in the NFL, which is sack totals, which is a problem. But last year I was proud of the AP voters. I'll say that. I'll say I'm proud of the AP voters last year because they gave it to Pat Surtain, which he was really good last year, so he deserved it. I'm going to continue that trend, and I'm going Kyle Hamilton, a guy who is, I think, underrated amongst some fans in the NFL. He is by far the best safety in football and one of the best defensive players in football. He's not better than Myles Garrett, but he's definitely up there, probably top 5 defensive player in all of football. I think I'm going to go Kyle Hamilton, man, on that elite Ravens defense this year.
He just got paid as well. Another guy that just got
He did.
paid. So your picks would be great for my Super Bowl prediction, where if the Ravens get the
Yes.
number 1 seed, they win
No
both.
question.
They sweep Player of the Year.
I didn't even think about that. But hey, last year Josh Allen won MVP, didn't go to the Super Bowl, so yeah.
True.
That
Yeah.
doesn't always add
I went back to the edge rusher. Well, Myles Garrett, again, it's kind of like the Aaron Donald thing. Like you mentioned, he could just win it every year. Mine's a little bit, I don't want to say bold, but he's won it before, so it's not that crazy.
Yes.
But I'm gonna go Nick Bosa. I think he gets it back on track. He's had 2 seasons. He didn't play all of last season. 2023 wasn't great. He won Defensive Player of the Year in 2022. And I think adding Mikael Williams, adding Alfred Collins, adding all these dudes so that defensive line can help him out a bit again, because he had his best season when he had a little bit more help there. And if he can just stay healthy, I'm basically saying that he can have another season like he did in 22, get back to how he is playing. Or I could eat my words on this horribly, and the injury bug has plagued him. But
it did his brother. But I mean, Nick Bosa.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bold prediction. I think he's one of the best. He's like, I think right below Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons for best edge rushers in the NFL. I'll say Micah Parsons is like, I think Nate's saying that in the chat. Micah winning it would be the nail in Cherry's coffin. Micah is for sure eligible to win this award this year, especially pairing him with Rashawn Gary, which is Rashawn Gary better than DeMarcus Lawrence in his prime with the Cowboys? Probably not. So Micah has probably played with a better edge rusher in the past. But at the very least, this is going to be a good duo, and it's going to, give Micah some opportunities that he wouldn't have in the Cowboys this year. So yeah, Micah is definitely eligible to win this award.
And it would be the nail. That would be brutal if he trades him away. And to be honest, it's kind of exactly what happened last, right? Because like we were talking about, the Titans were the last team to trade away their best player.
Yeah,
and AJ just went off immediately.
You got
for the
that
Eagles,
monkey off your back now. Congrats.
Yeah, we're no longer the last one to trade away our best player, so
woohoo!
We got a lot less for it. We got Treylon, but here we are. Nate saying Aiden Hutchinson for his defensive player of the year pick. I like that. I like that as well if he stays healthy. But I don't know if that's also saying Aiden Hutchinson will also win Coach of the Year. But Malik, Aiden, and then Aiden again.
Oh, did he? Okay. So Aiden was probably on pace to win it last year, right, Dakota? I mean, the pace he was on before he got hurt.
Tackles.
Yeah, against the bad tackles. But I mean, the voters don't look at that whatsoever. They don't look at any context. They're just looking at who has the most sacks. Oh yeah, comeback. Yeah, that's a great call for Nate. Comeback,
and that is my pick.
Yeah,
that was my pick.
Honestly, I would probably go Aiden as well for comeback player of the year. It seems kind of obvious. Like that seems like an obvious pick because he's going to be really good, and he's coming off that bad leg injury. So,
yeah. Any other shouts? Defensive player of the year, edge rushers always eat. I will dark horse in there, which probably not that dark, but reigning defensive rookie of the year, Jared Verse.
Yes,
adding his name to the mix because that dude is different.
Do you want to know the hot take I almost brought to this show? I am so high on the rookie. I almost took Abdul Carter to win this award too.
Oh my gosh.
I thought about it for half a second, dude. He looked so damn good in preseason that I thought, I'm like, but no, give me a year.
Can't give him a year. I'm trying to think. I mean, Sauce Gardner gets back on track. I don't know if there's any other elite corner play in the NFL is not at a high level right now. And it's tough for a guy to win it back-to-back years. Ooh, I like that shout. I like that a lot. It's tough to give it to a guy back-to-back years. People rarely do that. So Pat Surtain, even if he played really well, it's just going to be tough for him to win it again, unfortunately for him. Another shout for comeback player of the year. I wanted to mention this one just because this is an interesting one people are thinking about because he didn't even really play last year and has never played. But I think he's technically eligible now that it's injury-based. JJ McCarthy.
Okay.
JJ McCarthy for comeback player of the year.
Okay. I like it. It's very possible. It's technically a comeback.
Technically, he was injured, never played, so who knows? Especially if KOC makes him look like he does quarterbacks, I could easily see him being in a competition. But I feel like if Aiden is Aiden at all, he's kind of got it locked up. So
True. It also feels like that award died whenever they didn't give it to old Damar Hamlin after coming back from dying on the football field. Like that comeback
Yeah.
player they give award. It's just people don't understand the criteria. And that's the
But I
biggest
think they
problem with that
cracked
award.
down on it now.
They
I think
did.
that
They
this year,
did.
yeah. So hopefully that'll help instead of people just being bad.
Yeah, exactly. Joe Flacco came back from being terrible, so he's come back player
Terrible.
of the year.
Congrats. Yeah, Darnold could have won it last year, had that, and then Nate, he's eligible for rookie of the year in the
True.
NBA. God, I don't even
In
start
the
in the NBA with that.
It's true.
Dude's been in the league for 4 years. He's rookie of the year. Love it. All right, what about coach of the year? Who do you have for coach of the year? This one was kind of tough for me because I was so low on some of the like newer coaches, and it lately had coach of the year has been a did you overperform your expectations award, not
That's
were you
what
like
it's
the best coach.
Yeah, that's what it's been for a while. And I told you the underdog story in the league for me this season is going to be the Patriots. So I went Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel is my coach of the year. Again, it always goes to the team that's not expected to make the playoffs that ends up making the playoffs. They usually give it to that guy. So Nate V shouting out Liam Cohen. That's a good option if the Jags end up making the playoffs. But yeah, I went Vrabel.
So because I had nobody making the playoffs that kind of aren't expected to, I went with who I honestly would say was deserving of it, be Nick Sirianni. If the Eagles get the number 1 seed coming off the defending Super Bowl champs and just kind of dominate the NFC again, I just think he could get it for the. He is an elite coach at this point with the roster that he has and consistently wins. So if nobody goes to the playoffs who's not expected to or really outperforms to the level, because I don't know if they'll give it to, if I had the Patriots go 9-8 and miss the playoffs, would they give it to Vrabel at that point?
Probably not.
I don't know. So I think Nick Sirianni, and then my honorable mention there is just KOC again. But it's like I don't think they'll give it to him again. But it's like if he did go like if they did make the playoffs, which I didn't have, but if they did make the playoffs with a different quarterback again, then it's like, man, he might deserve it again.
I would say I'll also shout out Dan Quinn if they somehow end up winning that division. They could also give it to Dan Quinn as like hey, you probably should have won this award last year, so here it is this year.
Yeah, I could see that as well for sure. Yeah, nobody else really stands out to me as because again, it's pretty chalky unless the team randomly makes a play. Like if the Bears make the playoffs, Ben Johnson probably wins it.
Yeah, I thought about Ben Johnson for sure.
Cool. All right, now to
MVP
the biggest award, MVP, which I'm really interested to hear yours because mine has nothing to do with my Super Bowl pick. So I'm curious to hear who you.
Listen, I went back and forth. This is. Honestly, even though it's the most talked about, one of the least interesting awards to talk about, just because it's like, it's a debate between like 4 or 5 quarterbacks. I want it to be Josh Allen again. I want Josh Allen to continue to get his credit. I thought about picking Josh Allen, but they just don't like giving back-to-back MVPs. They just don't. And I went Jaden Daniels, man. I went Jaden Daniels.
Ooh.
I think that offense is going to cook. I'm just worried about the defense for the Commanders, and they also have to beat out the Eagles in their division. So yeah, I'm going to go Jaden. Give Jaden some love.
I like it. Yeah, they do hate giving it back to back. They just don't do that very often. It's kind of like fighting for it. I'm shouting out the love to Nate V. I did pick Burrow. Because honestly, I do think there was a strong argument for Burrow. Had they made the playoffs last year to win it, just the stats that he had. My logic is he carries that over and continues to play out of his mind. And they'll make the playoffs this time around. And in a bit of a, right, like just kind of give it to him. Because if it's equal with a lot of these guys, then give Burrow his MVP. And then all 4 of those guys have one at this point too, which would be kind of a cool story for the AFC. But yeah, I went old Joey B.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% could see that. I mean, Nate V shouting out all the offensive talent they have on that team. I am still worried about the offensive line. And then you have the defense, which was historically bad a season ago. I think the defense will get better. The only thing is they have to win to get MVP. We saw that
Right.
last year, right, Dakota? Because
Yep.
he probably should have won it last year. Like if we're just looking at what the award means and who had the best season at quarterback, it was probably Joe Burrow last year. But since they missed the playoffs by a game, he wasn't eligible in some voters' minds. So yeah, that's a good shout though. I mean, they're again those top 4 quarterbacks eligible to win it every year.
I was phrasing. It's just they're eligible on the back
Every year.
I like the Jaden shout though. That if he plays like he did last year and it takes a step forward with adding Debo to that offense, like Terry Lock back up, then Commanders could be scary. And I like Jaden. So you didn't shout out Andre Oshivosh. Oshivosh didn't make the list there.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
I think Mahomes could return to the top 2. Yeah, I think that's also I was where I started because he hasn't won one in a minute. So
Yeah,
if he
true.
he hasn't played, I mean, he's played Mahomes, but like regular season wise, statistically output, he just hasn't been doing what he did when he first starting in the NFL.
Yeah. Despite the Chiefs fans that for some reason need validation for their 3-time Super Bowl winning quarterback, I just can't understand why you would need validation for a guy who, by the way, if we're doing a GOAT list of quarterbacks, Dakota's probably making the top 5. Like just because we don't say he's the best right now doesn't mean he's not one of the best of all time.
Right.
But we haven't given the Chiefs enough love on the show because Josh Simmons looks like he could fix that offensive line, man. Josh Simmons looks like he could be an absolute game changer and give Mahomes his left tackle that he's been missing for quite some time. And if that happens, then yes, I could see that Chiefs offense finally being fixed. Also, Travis Kelce's looking a little bit better. Okay, he just got engaged. He looks like he might be in a little bit better shape. Maybe he was more focused this offseason, so he could be a little bit better. And, you know, once Rashid Rice comes back from his suspension, Xavier Worthy with a potential breakout season. So, yeah, I could definitely see that Chiefs offense getting back to old past form.
Yeah, with Marquise Brown playing a full season, hopefully for Mahomes too. Yeah, and I do wonder, Kelce point's interesting because I do wonder, I think he wanted to ride off into the sunset off the 3-peat and then didn't. And now I wonder if he's putting all that effort in again to try to go out on top. And we'll see. But
man, you know what I think he's trying to go for? Because I think with the 3-peat, once he gets the 3-peat, all of a sudden you're like, can we be the first team to win 4 in a row? I honestly think he would have come back. I think he's going for the tight end records. I think that's what he's looking for. I think he wants some of those regular season tight end records and whatnot. And if he plays like he did last year, he will not get those records. He was really bad at the end of last year, but who knows? Maybe he was focused this offseason and he'll get back to old Travis Kelce.
We'll see. And yeah, the Josh Simmons touch is big too because Mahomes, more than most of the elite quarterbacks, has specifically struggled when his left tackle has not been good. That's just been kind of his kryptonite. So if Josh Simmons can come in and immediately, anchor that down for him, that would be huge. And then, yeah, that could be a path to him winning MVP and playing like he did more in like 2018 when he was on the pace to break some records and throwing 50 touchdowns. That hasn't been done only a handful of times. So
also, since we haven't shouted out the 4th guy, and I don't want to upset Ravens fans, Lamar is obviously eligible to win as well. He's every year. You could argue he should have won it last year.
Yeah,
I tend to agree, but at the same time, he also won it the year before that when I thought Josh Allen should have won it. So they just mixed them up. The AP voters just kind of screwed that up. But either way, Lamar every year is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and we're both obviously really high on the Ravens. So
yeah, at 23 was a rough year to just pick an MVP in general because the passing stats and everything were so rough that year. I think I tend to probably just flipped it. Probably would have just given it Allen that year, Lamar last year, because Lamar did have like 4, I think was his final passing stats, which is kind of absurd. It's like a 10-to-1 ratio. So yeah, Lamar obviously gets still been, again, those top 4 dudes at any given moment.
But I think all of these fan bases would trade an MVP for a championship.
For a Super Bowl.
Especially the Bills and Ravens. And Bengals.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So we'll see if they can get it done. All right. Any other final thoughts on MVP or any other season story things you want to touch on before we wrap up here?
No, man. I'm excited for the season. It's gonna be a fun season to cover on the channel. Getting a little bit of momentum recently on the channel, so I want to thank everybody for that. Thank everybody for liking the videos. Thank everybody for watching the stream. A couple of you, shout out to Nate V, Sane has been hanging out in the chat. Appreciate y'all supporting us. And yeah, it's gonna be fun to cover all these things and see how it all plays out, man.
Yeah. Absolutely. Appreciate all the support. Really do. We're on the brink of 69 subs. So whoever wants to be that one
for 69.
Yeah, you can hang a plaque up in your wall. Stop to take 69th sub. But I genuinely appreciate all the support, especially the bit of momentum we have started as we go season here, which we're really excited. So starting next week is when our true NFL schedule starts. So Thursdays at 7, which is kind of our typical time now, but Thursdays at 7, we will be going live to preview that week's slate of games. So the goal there is to give you a preview of every, touching on some matchups more than others, all kind of a quick preview of each matchup for that week, leading you directly into football. So you get everything you need to know, and then you go football. And then doing the same thing on Sundays. So we'll be live roughly around 7 on Sundays to recap Thursday night, and then that slate, the 1 o'clock and 4 p.m. games on Sunday. So recapping Sunday's games leading directly into Sunday night football. So we're going to try out that schedule, see how that works. Hopefully it's good for, especially people who don't have the opportunity to sit around on Sunday like we will be doing and just watching football all day for 7 hours straight with all Scott Hansen leading us. Or the quad box with Sunday Ticket, whatever. But if you don't have the opportunity to sit around, then it could be the perfect way for you to kind of get that quick recap of everything before you then watch Sunday Night Football. So that's kind of our goal there for you all. So
yeah, again, and let's just hope ESPN doesn't screw up NFL Red Zone. Just let Scott do his thing, man. Don't change anything. Just keep it the exact same.
Please, and please don't get rid of our boy. He's an American hero.
The GOAT.
I would die for him. But yeah, appreciate everybody. Please like the video. Leave a comment. Let us know Super Bowl predictions, award winners, all that fun stuff. Rage at us. That also happens.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, rage at us.
Let us know why.
Didn't give your favorite team enough love.
Yeah, even though we talked about nuance and stuff about 87 times, but hate us as much as you want. It's fine. But leave a comment. Share with your friends, and then, please hit that subscribe button. Appreciate if you do. And then, hit the little bell so you'll know when we do go live for those Thursday and Sunday, so you don't forget it. But appreciate all the support and everybody for tuning in live on this one. But until next time.
Thanks for talking ball with us.